Have you ever secretly craved a canceled plan? Does the thought of a quiet evening at home, with no one to talk to, no one to take care of, feel like the ultimate luxury? And then, does a quiet pang of guilt follow close behind? A voice that whispers, "You should be more social. You are becoming a hermit. This is selfish." What if that guilt is a lie? What if that craving for solitude is not a sign that you are antisocial, but a sign that your soul is finally getting the nourishment it desperately needs? In a world that is terrified of silence, a world that uses constant noise and distraction as a drug, choosing solitude is a radical act of rebellion. You have been taught that wanting to be alone is a symptom of depression or social anxiety, a problem to be fixed. But the truth is, for a perceptive person, for a soul that has begun its deep journey of shadow work, solitude is not an escape from the world. It is the necessary space to process the world. It is not emptiness. It is fullness. Today, we will give this sacred need its proper name. We will differentiate with the clarity of Carl Jung's wisdom between the pain of loneliness and the profound joy of solitude. We will explore the deep biological reasons why your soul is starving for this quiet. And we will compassionately understand why your need for it can be so frightening to the people around you. It is time to stop apologizing for your need to come home to yourself.
The world uses one word for two vastly different universes: loneliness. And this single clumsy word is the source of so much of our confusion and guilt. We must first create a distinction. There is loneliness. Loneliness is the pain of absence. It is the ache for a connection that is not there. It is a state of deficit, of lack. It feels cold, empty, isolating. It is the feeling of being the last one picked for the team. It is the feeling of scrolling through pictures of happy couples on a Saturday night, alone. Loneliness is a hunger for the world. And then there is solitude. Solitude is the joy of presence. It is the deep, nourishing connection to oneself. It is a state of surplus, of fullness. It feels warm, peaceful, centering. It is the feeling of sinking into a good book on a rainy afternoon. It is the feeling of walking alone in the woods and feeling a part of everything. Solitude is not a hunger for the world. It is a feast with your own soul. What you feel when you crave that canceled plan is not loneliness. It is a deep, instinctual, and profoundly healthy craving for solitude. For a perceptive person, especially one who has been doing their inner work, solitude is not a luxury. It is a biological and spiritual necessity, as essential as oxygen. And there are profound reasons for this. The first reason your soul craves solitude: you need to process the data. Think back to our conversation about your superpowers, your emotional radar, your pattern recognition. Your nervous system is a highly advanced instrument, constantly collecting a staggering amount of emotional and energetic data from the world around you. When you are in a social situation, you are not just hearing words. You are processing tone of voice, micro-expressions, body language, energetic fields, the unspoken tensions between people. You are running 1,000 complex calculations a minute. Let's imagine Chloe, our friend the nurse. During a single 8-hour shift, she interacts with dozens of patients, families, doctors. She is absorbing their fear, their grief, their stress, their hope. Her sensitive instrument is working overtime. If she goes directly from that shift to a noisy family dinner and then to social media before bed, when does the processing happen? It doesn't. The data piles up, unsorted, unfiled. This is what leads to that feeling of being overwhelmed, of anxiety, of burnout. Solitude is the sacred administrative time for your soul. It is the quiet office where you can finally sit down, close the door, and file away the day's experiences. It is the time your system needs to make sense of all the signals it has received. Without this time, you are not a sensitive instrument. You are just noise. The second, deeper reason your soul craves solitude: you need to hear your own voice. For your entire life as a people pleaser, the loudest voices in your world were the voices of others. What did they need? What did they want me to be? How do I keep them happy? Your own inner voice, the quiet, wise whisper of what Carl Jung called the self, has been drowned out. It has been speaking to you always, but you could not hear it over the roar of the crowd. Solitude is the act of consciously turning down the volume of the world so that you can finally hear the whisper of your own soul. It is in the quiet moments alone that your true needs will make themselves known. It is in the silence that your creative ideas will bubble to the surface. It is in the stillness that you will feel the unwavering guidance of your own inner compass. You cannot hear the most important voice in the universe if you are never in a quiet room. And the third reason your soul craves solitude: you are cultivating a relationship, the most important relationship of your life, the relationship with yourself. For years, you were a stranger in your own home. You lived in the guest room of your own soul, always ready to leave to tend to someone else's house. The journey of shadow work is the journey of moving into the master bedroom, of exploring all the forgotten rooms, the dusty attics, the hidden gardens of your own being. And this exploration is fascinating. You are discovering that you are interesting. You have thoughts, feelings, and a rich inner landscape that is worthy of your attention. Solitude is not the absence of company. It is the presence of the most fascinating company you will ever keep: your own true self. It is a date with the divine that lives inside you. Your craving to be alone is not a rejection of others. It is a falling in love with you. But here is the great, uncomfortable truth of this journey. As you begin to fall in love with your own solitude, the world will not always send you flowers. In fact, as you begin to gently withdraw your energy to nourish your own inner garden, do not be surprised if you are met with resistance, confusion, guilt trips, even anger. And your first thought, the old people-pleasing thought, will be, I must be doing something wrong. I am being selfish. I am hurting them. But what if their reaction has almost nothing to do with you? What if your newfound peace is simply a mirror reflecting back their own inner chaos? Today, we're going to do an act of radical empathy. We're going to understand why your solitude scares other people. Not to excuse their behavior, but to free yourself from the burden of believing it is your fault. There are three primary reasons why your need for solitude can be so triggering to others. The first reason is the most direct. Your solitude mirrors their own emptiness. For a person who has spent their life running from themselves, silence is terrifying. Being alone with their own thoughts is a form of torture. They use constant noise, constant activity, constant social engagement as a way to avoid the deafening silence of their own unexamined soul. You, in your quiet contentment, in your peaceful self-possession, become a living testament to a reality they cannot imagine. A reality where being alone is not a punishment, but a pleasure. This can be deeply unsettling for them. Your peace does not soothe them. It highlights their own lack of it. And it is often easier for them to label you as antisocial or weird than it is for them to confront the terrifying silence within themselves. Let's imagine Chloe's best friend, Lisa. For 10 years, they have been each other's escape. They would go out, stay busy, talk constantly. But now, Chloe sometimes says, "I just need a quiet night in." Lisa feels a pang of something she doesn't understand. Annoyance? Rejection? She says, "What's wrong with you lately? You're becoming so boring." What Lisa is really feeling is fear. Because when Chloe is not there to provide the distraction, Lisa is left alone. Alone with her own unfulfilling job, her own anxieties, her own emptiness. Chloe's solitude is not the cause of Lisa's pain. It is simply the mirror that is forcing her to look at it. The second reason your solitude can be so frightening, it triggers their fear of abandonment. This is especially true in our closest relationships, with partners, with family. Many relationships, especially those formed before our deep inner work began, are built on a foundation of enmeshment, of codependency. The unspoken contract is, we are a we. There is no I. In this system, a need for space is not interpreted as a healthy act of self-care. It is interpreted as a threat, a withdrawal of love, the beginning of the end. Let's imagine Chloe's husband, Tom. He is a good man. He loves her. But for 15 years, their evenings have been a shared routine. They are a unit. Now Chloe says, "Honey, I love you, but tonight I just need to read alone in the bedroom for an hour." Tom's conscious mind knows this is reasonable, but the little boy inside him, the part of him that holds all his own attachment wounds, panics. His unconscious hears, "I am withdrawing from you. I no longer need you. I am leaving you." So he might react with a subtle punishment, a cold shoulder, a passive-aggressive comment. "Fine, do what you want." He is not reacting to the adult Chloe's reasonable need for space. He is reacting to his own deep-seated, terrified shadow, the part of him that believes love is fragile and connection is conditional. Your solitude has simply held up a mirror to his own fear of abandonment. And the third, most systemic reason, your solitude disrupts the system. In any family, in any group, we all play a role. The parentified child, the empath, the people pleaser. Our role is often to be the emotional sponge, the caretaker, the entertainer. We are the ones who absorb the anxiety, who smooth over the conflict, who keep the emotional machinery of the group running. It is an exhausting job, but it is a predictable one. When you choose solitude, you are, in essence, walking off the job. You are putting down your tools, and the system panics. It does not know how to function without you in your designated role. The anxiety you used to absorb now has nowhere to go, so it gets louder. The conflict you used to placate now erupts, and the group will often unconsciously try to pull you back into your old job. They will tell you that you have changed, that you are not being a team player, that you are selfish. What they are really saying is, please come back. We don't know how to do this without you. Understanding these dynamics is not about making excuses for others' bad behavior. It is about depersonalizing it. It is about realizing that their reaction is a reflection of their own inner world, their own fears, and their own unmet needs. It is not about you. This understanding is the key that unlocks you from the prison of guilt. It allows you to hold your boundary with both firmness and compassion. You can have compassion for the fear that drives their reaction without sacrificing your own sacred need for peace.
So here you stand at a sacred crossroads. Behind you is the familiar, noisy world of fitting in. Ahead of you is the quiet, unknown landscape of your own soul. You have understood why you need to walk this path. You have understood why others may be afraid to see you go. Now comes the most important question. How do you honor your need for solitude without building a fortress of resentment? How do you close the door to the world gently and with love? The answer is twofold. First, you must turn the act of being alone into a conscious, sacred ritual for yourself. And second, you must learn to communicate your need to others, not as a rejection, but as an act of replenishment. Let us begin with the inner work. For too long, your solitude has been accidental, stolen moments, a canceled plan you secretly celebrate. This can leave you with a lingering sense of guilt, as if you are stealing time that belongs to someone else. The path to guilt-free solitude is to make it intentional, to treat it with the same seriousness and importance as a meeting with your most respected mentor, because that is exactly what it is. So I invite you to practice what I call the sacred door ritual. It is a simple, symbolic act you can do anytime you claim a moment of solitude for yourself. It could be 10 minutes. It could be an entire afternoon. Let's imagine Chloe. She has had a long day at the hospital. Her inner world is noisy with the data she has collected. She comes home. Her husband, Tom, is there. She knows he wants to connect, to talk about his day. The old Chloe would have suppressed her own need and immediately launched into caretaker mode. But the new Chloe pauses. She says, "Honey, I am so happy to see you. I just need 15 minutes to decompress in our room. Can we talk after that?" She goes to the bedroom, and here is the ritual. As she gently closes the bedroom door, she is not just shutting out the sound of the house. She is performing a conscious act. In her mind, she says, "I am now closing the door to the outer world, and I am opening the door to my inner world." She then sits down on her bed.
She doesn't have to meditate. She doesn't have to journal. She simply is. She takes a few deep breaths and she speaks a simple, powerful intention silently to her soul. This time is for me. My inner world is worthy of my attention. I am now in sanctuary. Do you feel the difference? She is not hiding. She is not escaping. She is arriving. She is treating her solitude not as a guilty pleasure, but as a sacred appointment. This small ritual rewires the brain. It reframes solitude from an act of absence to an act of profound presence. But what about Tom? What about the people on the other side of that door? This is where we must learn to communicate our needs with love, clarity, and a new kind of honesty. This is the answer to that great, burning question: how do I do this without hurting the people I love? You learn a new script. The old script of the people pleaser is based on excuses. Oh, I can't tonight, I have a headache. I'd love to, but I'm so busy. Excuses are a form of dishonesty, and on a subconscious level, people can feel it. It creates mistrust. The new script is based on a loving, honest truth. It follows a simple three-part formula: affirmation, statement of need, reassurance. Let us listen to Chloe again, but this time in a more challenging situation. Her friend Lisa calls, wanting to go out on a Friday night. Chloe feels the familiar pull, the guilt, the fear of disappointing her. But she also feels her deep biological need for a quiet night of replenishment. She takes a breath, she finds her feet, and she speaks the new script. First, affirmation. She affirms the relationship. Lisa, I love when we get together. I was just thinking about that funny thing that happened last week. Second, a simple, honest statement of need. No excuses. And I have had an incredibly draining week, and I have a deep need for a quiet night at home to recharge myself. And third, reassurance. She reaffirms the future of the connection. I am not available to be good company tonight, but I would love to connect next week. Are you free on Thursday? Let us break this down. It is a masterpiece of differentiated communication. She is not making it about Lisa. She is making it about her own needs. She is not saying, I don't want to see you. She is saying, I need to take care of myself. And by proactively suggesting another time, she is showing that she values the connection, but she is honoring her own capacity. She is not abandoning the relationship. She is simply refusing to abandon herself. This is what it looks like to love others from a place of loving yourself first. It is not selfish. It is the only foundation for a truly sustainable and honest human connection.
Today, we have given ourselves a profound permission. The permission to be quiet in a world that demands our noise. The permission to be still in a world that demands our constant motion. The permission to come home to ourselves. We have learned the crucial difference between the cold ache of loneliness and the warm fullness of solitude. We have understood that for the perceptive soul, solitude is not a luxury. It is a biological and spiritual necessity. It is the space we need to process the world, to hear our own inner voice, and to cultivate a deep and loving relationship with the person we are becoming. We have also looked with compassion at why our need for this sacred space can be so frightening to others. We have seen that their resistance is often not a judgment of us, but a reflection of their own inner emptiness, their own fears of abandonment, their own discomfort with a system we are no longer willing to uphold. And most importantly, we have received the tools to honor this need with integrity. The sacred door ritual to turn the act of being alone into a conscious appointment with our soul. And the script of loving honesty, affirmation, need, reassurance to communicate our boundaries in a way that honors both ourselves and our relationships. You do not have to choose between your peace and your people. You can learn to have both. Your invitation for this week is to practice this sacred act of claiming your space. It does not have to be a grand gesture. Start small. Practice the sacred door ritual for just 10 minutes. Or find one low-stakes opportunity to use the script of loving honesty, perhaps with a friend over a small request. The goal is not to become a hermit. The goal is to prove to yourself and to your nervous system that you are allowed to have a sanctuary, that you have a right to your own energy. To make this commitment to honoring your inner world, I invite you to make a declaration, a claim to your sacred space. Share in the comments below. My solitude is my sanctuary. By sharing these words, you are giving yourself permission, and you are creating a space of permission for everyone else on this journey. We have now come to the end of a great and foundational chapter of our work together, the chapter of diagnosis and validation. You have learned about your superpowers. You have understood your origin story as an emotional parent. You have de-shamed your nervous system's fawn response. You have a dictionary for your deepest feelings. And now you have claimed your right to solitude. You know, perhaps for the first time, who you truly are. But this is not the end. It is the end of the beginning. Because now that you know who you are, now that you have built this beautiful, quiet sanctuary inside yourself, a new and crucial question arises. How do you protect it? How do you defend this sacred inner space from the complexities, the manipulations, and the unconscious dynamics of the outer world? This is the next phase of our journey. It is time to move from the quiet work of self-discovery to the skillful art of psychological self-defense. And we will begin by learning to recognize the 5 questions that manipulators use to hijack your mind. That is where we go next.